Okay, so I'm Corlina Patterson, equine nutrition consultant with Ration Experts, and we're going to do a quick video on body condition scoring for horses. Body condition score is something that we're all familiar with, and the scale on which they're measured we're familiar with. But the problem often is putting that definition of different body condition scores into a practical application and being able to actually score your horse. So that's what we're going to help you with, is to figure out exactly where to start and where to put a horse on the scale. Body conditioning scoring is very helpful when you're dealing with vets and horse professionals. So for example, if you're trying to explain your horse has lost weight, it's hard to quantify a certain amount of pounds on a horse because they disappear or appear very quickly. And so instead, using a body condition score as a reference point is very good. He lost half a score, he gained half a score. So let's take a quick look at how we score a horse. So this is Prince, and Prince is going to help us with our demonstration. When we're body condition scoring a horse, there's a few places where we're going to specifically that we're going to look for extra condition, and that's that amount of body condition or body fat that's going to help us determine what score he is and where they sit on that. And we're scaling them on 1 to 9, with 1 being extremely thin and 9 being extremely fat. So the places that we're going to look for fat on the horse, or that body condition that's going to determine their score, is the rib cover over the rib cage, fat stores behind the shoulder, top of the shoulder blade, fat stores in the neck, and fat stores in the tail head, and later we're going to look as well in behind in the gasket. And so the best way to start with the scoring on the horse is to start in the middle of the scale, which is essentially considered a 5, and determine whether your horse is above or below that 5. So, and that's where we always suggest that you start. We always start on the rib cage, and we determine whether we're going up from a 5 or down from a 5. So ideally, in that middle body condition score of a 5, we're going to have an even transition from our spine to the top of the ribs. The ribs don't start here on the outside of the horse, they come to the outside at about this level. And so in between the spine and the top of the ribs is where a horse will carry the extra condition and over the ribs. So if we have a smooth transition, here's down. If we have a smooth transition from the spine into the ribs, and you can't visibly see the ribs, but with light pressure over them we can feel them, the horse has a body condition score of a 5. If we have a smooth transition here, and we can't see the ribs, but we also can't feel them without more deeply palpating for them, then we're starting to approach a 6 and above. And the same with here, so if we have some condition that we can feel, we're at a 5. If it starts to bulge out, we're at about a 6. Conversely, if we have sort of a concave shape between the top of the spine and the top of the rib, and visible rib cover, or visible ribs rather, and not a lot of rib cover, we're looking at a 4 or below. And the more concave this becomes, the lower the horse is in the body condition score, with 1 being, of course, a highly emaciated horse. As the horse gets fatter and goes above a 5 to a 6 or 7 or 8, we actually get condition building up here and over the spine that forms a trough down the middle of the spine. So that's essentially where you gauge them on how much feel you have or how much condition you carry over the rib and how easily you can or cannot feel those ribs, or how easily you can or cannot see them for your score. There's just a few things to point out when you're doing body condition scoring. There are conformational features that are often misleading, and you should take that into account when you're scoring, and Prince is a great example here. So if a horse has a prominent wither, which on Prince we like to refer to as his shark fin, it will make the horse appear thin because it's a bony protrusion, when in fact it's just a conformational, well, it's just his conformation, I won't call it a fault. But it is the confirmation that the wither is high, and it makes it look skinny when in reality it isn't. And oftentimes we get a bursa here over the spine, often referred to as a hunter bump in the industry. So you get the spine protruding here. Also shouldn't be mistaken with body condition score. Just because it looks a little bonier or a little higher or a little more prominent doesn't mean that this bump would in fact be a lower body condition score.